Saphyre is a multi-award-winning fintech company acclaimed for its patented technology that addresses the pre-trade and post-trade challenges. And with me are the founders, Gabino and Stephen Roche. Great to have you guys. What an exciting summer this has been for you. So let's explain what was going on. So in May, the new SEC rule mandating T+1 trade settlements instead of the historical T+2 went into effect. So how has Saphyre's platform addressed that change, and explain for people that may not know what T+1 and T+2 means? So do you want to start, Gabino?
Sure. This actually came on the back of the whole GameStop issue, where there was actually lending of more GameStop shares than there were available, because when you settle accounts or securities 2 days, you kind of don't know who has what securities in inventory. So you could be lending out more than there are. So the SEC, that and among other reasons, had mandated that by May 28th, the U.S. market was going to move to T+1, meaning within 24 hours of a trade, you can settle any security, right? Stocks, bonds, and so on. This created a global impact because the U.S. market is a global market, right? And it's at the most voluminous as well. And what's happened is that, at least in the case of Saphyre, we provide an operating platform, a platform for the industry to actually react to these things in real time. Because when you're in a 48-hour cycle, you can do things in a batch process, right? It could take 24 hours, and that's okay. If you've got 24 hours to settle a trade, you really have to work in real time. And after 4 p.m. New York time, it's only really 5 hours you've got to settle the trades, because as soon as it hits 9 p.m. New York time, it's 9 a.m. Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The next trading day is starting. And so after that announcement, what we did, I should say, in May 1st, Saphyre made an announcement about 28 days prior to when T+1 was going to go into effect on our post-trade suite of services called Saphyre X, where we can allow buy sides, sell sides, all to interface with each other in real time to solve any of these issues. And that's the main crux of what we were offering. And it's unique because we're addressing multiple types of institutions or firms in the cloud at the same time.
And you're helping them meet the requirements, which is what your platform does. What has been the response from Wall Street firms?
The response has been highly curious. You were there at our May 1st event where we had Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, and Melissa Francis, former Fox Business and CNBC anchor, joined us on a big announcement Saphyre has made about Saphyre X and what we're doing to address the T+1 regulation that came out. So we actually, have a backlog of pilots and testing that's coming on to see what this is all about. How can they work in a real-time operating model to address the T+1 needs of the global markets? Because even though U.S. markets for equity-based trades and fixed income is for T+1, a lot of the global markets are trading in U.S. markets. So they all have to transform their operations to a T0 model regardless. Some of them are using bifurcated models where they do T+1 for the rest of the world, but T+2 for the rest of the world, T+1 for US and maybe India, right, for example. But that's just this costly, inefficient. You got multiple hires you have to make globally. Follow the sun model just doesn't really make sense. So there's been an embracement of understanding what we're doing, although today they've already implemented manual processes to address the current need with manpower manual processes. We're hoping to transform that during these pilots and testing phase, and it's been tremendous.
Yeah. I know some big banks have signed on early on, and so how does what you do differentiate from other fintech firms that are out there?
Yeah, so, well, for one, I think the carrot we used was that the fact that it was free for a year, so the cost was like nothing to them to even just test drive the car. But what we're doing different from others is I think it's important to emphasize that we're providing a platform for the industry. Most solutions are one-trick, two-trick ponies, right, for, let's say, a buy-side firm or just capital markets firms or just custodians. What Saphyre's done is actually allowed a platform for all these different types of institutions to participate, to actually translate the data the way they need it. Believe it or not, it's not consistent between those types of firms, and to do it all in real time. Because if you want to make sure you're compliant, if you want to make sure you're not allowing North Korea to money launder, money through trades and whatnot from an investment, these checks are actually embedded as part of this process with our platform and ensuring all parties see the same thing at the same time. The analogy I would use is, think about your smartphones, right? In the 1990s, you had computers, and to exchange information, you had to exchange files with one another. You could have changed your file versus me and we'd be out of sync instantly. But in the smartphone world, you're actually pointing to the cloud, and there's only one record, not 5 of your LinkedIn profile, right? There's only one record of it. So that reconciliation process is in real time, so all parties are not participating on the same information.
Yeah.
That's I think, the sweet spot of what we're doing.
Well, and it totally makes sense. I mean, as technology, adapts, and that people will be doing that, because the amount of money that's settled every day, oh my goodness. And if it's not settled in real time or pretty close to it, I mean, there can really be some mistakes made.
You're talking about adapt, and one of the other philosophies we have in our company is about interoperability, right? We want to adapt to existing solutions or technologies that these financial institutions have invested in. So the bar is very low to enter and work with Saphyre. That's been what we're a driving factor since inception, and part of what we implemented with our 108 patents and our AI technology that we have. So it puts us in a very unique position to offer this as a low entry for people to discover. And it's, like my brother said, it's a kind of operating system for finance. Yeah. There's usually not a solution for an investment manager, a broker-dealer, or a custodian, for example. They use it just for a custodian, just for an investment manager. Never really holistic for all of finance to communicate appropriately.
What are some of the strategic partnerships, collaborations that you've got?
Well, I'll start. Well,
yeah.
One of the ones we've announced last year was the London Stock Exchange, specifically in their division under FXall. So FXall wants to go out to market and tell firms, hey, you can trade first and trade faster on FXall over other FX platforms, right? So that gives them a unique ability to drive more volumes and traffic onto their electronic management systems, and
by leveraging our technology
right.
within their platform.
So that's happening today, as well as once these firms are uploading legacy funds on the platform as well as new funds, we can help them with the settlement part of that as well. That's the second piece of it. So that's a very strategic avenue that we're going with right now with the London Stock Exchange, and specifically FXall. London Stock Exchange has multiple EMS platforms that they're looking at as well. We'll see how that pans out in the future, but today it's FXall, and it's been pretty exciting. A lot of investment managers are now embracing this technology as we speak right now today.
No, go ahead.
The second one we announced on the May 1st was also DTCC.
Yes.
So we're actually creating a partnership, or a collaboration, I would say, with DTCC at this point, and we're trying to enrich that collaboration even further. But right now, checking statuses on the settlements. So DTCC is offering something called Ready to Settle. Saphyre is taking that same data and enriching it in something that Saphyre offers called Ready to Trade. So you got Ready to Trade with the Ready to Settle enrichment from DTCC as a holistic solution that Saphyre is offering. I just want to circle back one more point from what you asked earlier. That I want you to understand the ingredients at play, that the institutions that have been ready for T+1 have thrown a lot of manual labor against this. And although T+1 has been tackled successfully, these firms are spending still a lot of money, so they need automation of some sort. And as my brother has said many times before, you can take things from a filing cabinet, digitize it in the cloud, but if you still have to scroll with your mouse and try to find every single file for when you need it, you will have true automation. And this is where Saphyre brings memory, including the digitization, memory in the context of each firm, and that's what helps speed things up.
Yeah, and it probably makes all the settlements more accurate as well, rather than
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about the story of the company. So your brothers, twins,
Yes.
Also co-founders. Explain how this evolved. Was this an idea you came up with? What has it been like building a business together?
My brother told me to take a risk. I used to work at JP Morgan before, and there was a consortium, and JP Morgan was part of this, and they had asked me to participate in it. And I was a little afraid because I wanted to grow my career at the bank. But my brother said, hey, you should do this because you might be able to figure out an idea of something that we can actually solve for the industry. And so I did take the risk. And it's actually what led to the creation of Saphyre. But when I had this idea, no one was going to give me any money for it. And so my brother was my actually first investor. And so the cool part thing is being a CEO, an entrepreneur, it's a very lonely place. Mm-hmm. And so I will say I lucked out because you can't do better than your identical twin. You've been together in the womb since the point of inception. And he's been my cheerleader because I know a lot of founders who are just like on their own. Even if they find a co-founder, it's not, they're tight, but this is really tight. And so that's been great. And I will also say that we complement each other. So I'm kind of more of the product, tech, finance pro, but he's more of the marketing, business, pricing, negotiation, like pro, right? That's the way I would put it.
Yeah, and I had an opportunity earlier in my career to do my own business, and I was too scared. I didn't do it. I mean, our entrepreneurship's in our blood. I mean, our grandfathers are entrepreneurs, both sides of the family. Our father was an entrepreneur. One grandfather had his own Cuban cigar named Brochet, just like our last name. So it's in there. So I was too scared. I didn't do it, and I regretted it. So when Gabino had the opportunity, I kind of pushed him to do it because I thought it could be a good idea. I still was saving money to do my own thing eventually, but now when he had the opportunity to jump, I couldn't say no. So I had to go all in on him. But there's no better confidant that we have than each other. I would say if we started earlier, before we had our separate careers, it probably wouldn't have gone so nice, right? We probably had a little more, fighting going on, but we have detente and we have an understanding between each other, and it's been a very fruitful relationship in business.
Well, that kind of gave you the background of how the banks work too, which I'm sure was knowledgeable as you built the business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was key too. What is on the horizon for Saphyre? What's exciting coming up?
Well, I'm going to tell you, so the cool part is what I just said before, is when we're digitizing all this information, our clients are going to be benefiting big time because I personally teach AI, machine learning. I joke all the time to people that, hey, I spend my weekends doing this instead of going to the beach or something, right? But it's pretty exciting because the technology has ramped up very, very quickly. It's and now what we're able to see is, because we've created a platform that has normalized the data between multiple types of institutions within the finance space. It's an important detail, not to just brush away. So a lot of people say they normalize, but they normalize it maybe for their firm or for their type of firms, but not across the industry. We've done that. And because we've done that, when we apply AI to the data that's already been there, we can anticipate problems before they happen. We can pre-fill questionnaires automatically. So when you go to the doctor's office and you fill out your name, address, your insurance information every single time, that same process happens when you're setting up trades, setting up new accounts, or even renewing them and refreshing. The platform now automatically does this. In some cases, you have local banks in India, Brazil, or whatnot, and they're updating their account information. They send PDF documents. You submit that through Saphyre. We actually can interpret those documents and the contents of what they have correctly, and then actually digitize this in a straight-through process manner so that the banks or the investment managers can receive this digitally, so no one has to touch it. That's another dangerous thing when you're dealing with account numbers and settling accounts. I don't know, it's not Jane putting her own checking account number, routing number, and whatnot. Well, we have a process to check and authenticate that. So we don't just trust the AI. The AI does it accurately, but then there's a check process as well. So to me, that's exciting because all the work we've been doing the last 7 years of that hosted information, our clients have been asking for this. This is the automation I'm talking about, where you can free up resources instead of just manually passing paper or uploading documents or whatnot. Once it's been done once, now that process can run on its own, and those folks can actually focus on higher value analysis that AI still can't do.
Right, and dealing with customers and things like the human part of it. So.
All right. Well, I would say the other exciting piece is additional strategic relationships we're probably establishing. Because when you think about just the announcement with FXall, that gives them a competitive advantage over their peers. You talked about how some banks were just trying to address settlement concerns around regulation and penalties that go along with it. Well, now there's the other side of being competitive to settle in real time, so you can drive more business to your firm, right? So firms that are not on Saphyre are the last one to join us is probably the one that's going to lose, right? The ones that come early get the first market mover advantage, right? And I think that's the exciting piece out of all this. It's not just the sticks that are motivating people, it's the carrots that go behind it as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Congratulations on your success so far, and good luck going forward.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having us and the support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.